Hey there, and welcome to your ultimate longevity checkup. I'm your host, and for today's explainer, I'll be stepping into the role of your personal physician. We are taking a comprehensive, evidence-based look at exactly what it takes to not just live longer, but to live better. I really want you to treat the time we spend together today like your annual physical, but instead of just checking a box and sending you home, we are going to build a proactive blueprint for your health. Here is what our consultation looks like today. We'll start with your prescription for longevity, move into the foundation, quality sleep, and then fueling your body right. After that, we'll cover movement as preventative medicine, strategic supplements to consider, and finally, tracking your health markers. Let's get right into it. You know the old saying, health is wealth? Well, in medicine, we see that literally every single day. I want you to start thinking about your body like a compounding interest account. Long-term health requires strategic daily investments. Doing the things with the absolutely highest return on investment today is exactly what yields those massive physiological payouts decades down the line. All right, Section 1, your prescription for longevity. Now, before we start optimizing anything, we really have to redefine what health actually means. The World Health Organization defines it not just as the absence of disease, but as complete social, mental, and physical well-being. To actually get there, you need a rock-solid foundation, and we call this the Big Three: sleep, diet, and exercise. If you want to hit your aerobic, metabolic, social, and mental targets, these three pillars are just, well, they're non-negotiable.
Moving right along to Section 2, the foundation. Quality sleep.
So we hear a ton about getting that magic 7 to 9 hours, right? But honestly, the architecture of your sleep matters way more than just the total time you spend in bed. Chronic sleep deprivation is basically a fast track to type 2 diabetes and cognitive decline. If we look at your sleep phases, your deep sleep, or slow wave sleep, should make up about 15 to 25% of your night. Think of this as your body's repair shop, releasing growth hormone and fixing tissues. Then you've got REM sleep, taking up another 20 to 25%. REM is literally your brain's emotional regulator, absolutely vital for neuroplasticity and hitting the reset button on your central nervous system. Okay, so here is your actionable nightly prescription to make sure you actually hit those crucial stages. Number 1, anchor that circadian rhythm by getting real sunlight in your eyes within 15 to 30 minutes of waking up. This essentially sets the timer for your evening melatonin release. Number 2, respect the 5 to 8 hour half-life of caffeine. Cut it off entirely by midday. Number 3, drop your bedroom temperature to a cool 17 to 19 degrees Celsius. Dropping your core body temperature is the trigger to initiate sleep much faster. And lastly, be ruthless with your schedule. Maintain exact sleep and wake times, keeping them within a 30-minute window every single day. Now, building good habits is fantastic, but we also have to eliminate the saboteurs. I know a nightcap feels relaxing, but alcohol utterly destroys your REM sleep and just fragments your whole night. And blue light from our screens, it completely suppresses melatonin, so put those devices away a good 2 hours before bed. Late, heavy meals, as tempting as midnight snacking might be, will wreck your deep sleep and tank your heart rate variability. Oh, and while exercise is obviously great, intense sessions within 2 hours of bedtime will leave your central nervous system way too wired to wind down.
Let's move to Section 3, fueling your body right.
In my practice, I see it constantly. Chronic overeating is easily one of the biggest drivers of chronic disease today. It spikes insulin resistance, oxidative stress, the whole shebang of chronic inflammation. So first and foremost, avoid chronic caloric excess. Second, aggressively cut out highly processed, hyper-palatable foods. Honestly, they're engineered to make you overeat while offering terrible micronutrients. Focus on stabilizing your blood glucose by ditching the constant snacking and refined carbs. And finally, let's optimize your healthy fats by prioritizing omega-3s from fish and plant sources a few times a week.
But beyond just counting calories, protein is hands down your most vital macronutrient. My prescription? 1.2 to 1.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight daily. To put that into perspective, for a 70-kilogram person, that's roughly 84 to 126 grams every single day. Why? Because preserving your lean muscle mass is your ultimate armor against aging. It prevents frailty and keeps your independence intact as you get older.
Next is probably the most underrated nutrient in your diet, fiber. I want you hitting 35 to 50 grams per day. Consistently hitting this target will radically transform your gut microbiome diversity, it'll tank your LDL cholesterol, improve your blood sugar control, and significantly lower your risk of colon cancers. It's a real game changer.
Shifting gears now to Section 4,
movement as preventative medicine.
Look, if you're currently living a pretty sedentary lifestyle, I'm writing you the simplest, most accessible prescription possible. Just walk. Aim for 8,000 to 12,000 steps daily. That alone bumps up your daily caloric expenditure by about 300 to 600 calories. But more importantly, taking a brisk walk, especially right after meals, is an absolute powerhouse move. It acts like a sponge for your blood sugar, lowers your systemic stress, and drastically reduces your cardiovascular risk.
Now, for those of you ready to level up, your exercise routine needs a balance of two key elements. First, think of aerobic fitness as building your body's engine. By putting in 150 to 300 minutes of Zone 2 cardio a week, you're drastically boosting your VO2 max and mitochondrial function. On the flip side, resistance training is maintaining the chassis of the car. 3 to 4 sessions a week focusing on progressive overload and compound movements is a non-negotiable structural necessity to preserve your muscle and bone density as you age.
Which brings us to Section 5, Strategic Supplements to Consider.
Let's crack open the pharmacy, so to speak, for some safe, over-the-counter additions that can really enhance the hard work you're putting into your lifestyle. For sleep, taking 200 to 400 milligrams of magnesium glycinate paired with 3 to 5 grams of glycine before bed can dramatically decrease the time it takes you to fall asleep by lowering your core body temperature. Over on the diet side, berberine is excellent for glucose control, and psyllium husk is a super easy way to bridge that fiber gap we just talked about. Finally, for your workouts, 5 to 10 grams of creatine daily is one of the most well-researched ways out there to improve your power output and retain lean mass.
Finally, we arrive at Section 6, Tracking Your Health Markers.
Okay, it's time we officially ditch the outdated BMI scale. It completely ignores muscle mass, which isn't helpful at all. In the clinic, I pay much closer attention to body fat percentage. A healthy long-term range is about 12 to 18% for men and 20 to 28% for women. But even more importantly, check your waist-to-height ratio. You want this hovering right between 0.40 and 0.49. Why? Because waist circumference is just a far superior diagnostic tool for detecting dangerous visceral fat than simply stepping on a standard bathroom scale.
When you go in for your next blood panel, these are your exact optimal targets. We want your ApoB under 80 milligrams per deciliter, since high levels are strongly associated with atherosclerosis. Your HbA1c, which is basically a snapshot of your 3-month average blood glucose, should sit comfortably between 4.5 and 5.5%. Your CRP needs to be under 1 milligram per liter to ensure you aren't secretly dealing with systemic, low-grade inflammation. And lastly, keep that triglycerides to HDL ratio below 1.0 to really protect your heart and minimize cardiovascular risk.
To complete your chart, let's look at a few more vital metrics to round out your comprehensive longevity profile. Aim for a resting heart rate under 70 beats per minute, honestly, ideally in the 50s or 60s. Check your vitamin D to make sure it sits between 30 and 50 for optimal bone and mood health. Track your eGFR for long-term kidney function, keep your liver enzymes like ALT and AST nice and low, and always check those iron studies to catch any hidden deficiencies or inflammatory overload early.
Well, we've covered a tremendous amount of ground in today's checkup, from the architecture of your sleep to daily protein targets, all the way down to specific blood biomarkers. But here's the thing, all the biometrics in the world won't do a thing if you don't actually take action. So I'm going to leave you with this final prescription. Take a hard look at the big three: sleep, diet, and exercise. Which one of these pillars are you going to commit to changing tonight?